Good morning, Mega Podlings. It's Crazy Joe, and welcome, Crazy After Dark, for the last day of March on the what has become the strangest year in recent memory. And welcome. Trying to get comfortable. Welcome, Crazy After Dark. Good to see you guys. It is Tuesday night, and it is time to get crazy after dark, as it is always at this time on Tuesday nights. And yeah, I don't know how you guys are doing, but it feels like we just did this. You know why? Because life has turned into Groundhog Day. Every day feels exactly the same as the day before because I don't go anywhere. So I hope you guys are doing well. And let's see, what is Kyle saying here? Kyle says, oh, come on, man, what the heck? Kyle says, hey Joe, joining you as I play Mario Kart Wii. You know, I've never played Mario Kart. I've never ever played Mario Kart. I've played Super Mario Brothers and the original Mario Brothers and Super Mario World, but I've never played Mario Kart. And of course, the Tuesday night curse is starting to hit me. I'm starting to feel congested just because we went live, because that's the way it happens. Jamel's here. Hello, Jamel. I Want My Slaw says he's ready to get crazy. Jamel says, how am I doing? I'm doing good. How are you, Jamel? How's everyone holding up in these strange days we're living in? Bohemian says, hey, Crazy Joe, how you doing today? I am doing good. Lisa is here. Literal Groundhog Day. Oh my. Yes, it certainly is. James says, hey Joe, ever seen the Kid Superpower Hour with Shazam? It has the superhero high segment. Personally, I dislike that show, but I respect your opinion. Yeah, I remember that show. I used to watch it all the time. That's probably where my love of the Shazam, or as he was called back then, Captain Marvel character began. I think I saw that show before I ever picked up a comic book. Lisa says, hi ho, Joe. Hello, Lisa. Hey ho, hi ho to you. Not hey ho, hi ho. Let's see. Backward says, hey guys, I'm glad to be back. Missed out on last week. Well, we're happy to have you. Does anyone know where Gary is? Gary missed last week too. We didn't have a joke. We didn't end with a joke. Got to end with a joke. YouTube was being a butt and didn't send me a notification about your going live. Did Cinema Sickness go live last night? Because I just realized I did not get a notification about him going live. So now I'm wondering. I'm also annoyed because my nose is starting up now and I'm not properly prepared for it. Steven says, Joe, I'll tell you what, this coronavirus thing is ridiculously crazy. Well, you are not wrong. It is crazy indeed. Joey Baseball says the studios need to take the L and release these gosh darn movies. Well, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. James says, say, Crazy Joe, did you know that the Bullwinkle show aired on Saturday morning in reruns on NBC? Did I know that it aired on NBC, or did I know that it aired in reruns? I'm not entirely sure what the question is there. I do apologize. I was trying to do something different today. I was trying to get my computer set up in such a way that maybe I can get some guests on, but it really wasn't working out, which is unfortunate. I didn't want to sit at the bar tonight. I've been working from home. My chair that I've been sitting in is not the most comfortable chair. So as a result, after 2 weeks now of working at home, my back's starting to ache. So sitting on a bar stool for an hour did not seem appealing to me. So I've been trying to just rig something else. And what I wanted to do didn't work out. So here we are. We're on the couch tonight, which means I'm a little discombobulated because this isn't usually how I do the live stream. So I'm a little bit out of sorts right now. Anyway, So yeah, Dave was live last night. Ah, it's funny. I never got his notification. Gary is back. Joe, I'm finally back. I never got notified of your live stream for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you're not the first to say that. That's it's weird. YouTube is a glitchy beast. Macquin says, since I've been in quarantine for the past 2 weeks, I've been watching the Marvel Netflix series. I'm almost done with Luke Cage season one. I was not a fan of Luke Cage season one. I don't even think I finished Luke Cage season one. I liked Daredevil. I liked Jessica Jones. I liked Iron Fist, but I didn't like Luke Cage. Like Defenders, and then I fell off and never saw season two of Jessica Jones, and I never saw season three of Daredevil, and I never bothered with season two of Luke Cage because I didn't like the first season. All right, Kyle says you called me Steven by accident. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's probably because I'm not I feel weird right now because this isn't usually how I do. Like I have a setup. It's usually like this is what we do over here. It's like it's right over there. The bar is right over there. And usually that's where we're all set up, and I feel like I'm just out of sorts because I'm doing things like the iPad here. I'm holding it. It's usually on the bar resting. I got my hands free, but no, not tonight. So like I don't feel. This whole thing just feels weird to me tonight. I don't know. Antiques in Motion says you need to get out and walk. Yeah. I'm trying not to go outside. I do not want to go outside if I could avoid it. James says, Crazy Joe, yesterday I saw the Sonic movie, and it's not the best movie ever, but as far as a Sonic production is concerned, it's a breath of fresh air. It's pretty good. I thought it was surprisingly good. I didn't want to see it. I thought it looked horrible. I thought the trailers were horrible, but the kids wanted to see it, and I was happy with it when I saw it. I thought it was pretty decent actually. Let's see. James says, Crazy Joe, ever heard of Frady Cat and Wacky and Packy? They're obscure Filmation cartoons that aired on the Uncle Croc block. They're not very good. I'm not familiar with those. I thought I knew all the Filmation cartoons, but those actually um, I'm not familiar with. Backwood says Jessica Jones dipped in quality after season two, from what I've heard. Daredevil season two was great. See, I didn't care for Daredevil season two. I watched Daredevil season two, but even more so than the first season, because the first season I thought was like maybe 2 or 3 episodes too long. Like it would have been better if it was a couple episodes shorter. I thought Daredevil season two really went off the rails. I heard it got better in season three, but I was annoyed that they took him out of the red suit in season three. Because in season one, I hated that black costume. And all season I was like, when are they going to get him out of this stupid black costume and into the Daredevil costume? So then finally, season two, he's in the Daredevil costume. Then season three rolls around and they take him out of the Daredevil costume again. I was like, F this S. F this S in the A. That's what I said. But anyway, I didn't really say that. Lisa says, I'm so bored I just finished singing in the car for a video project for my elementary school. Marie said she just popped in to say hi. Be well. Good to see you, Marie. Joey says, I got a $350 office chair. There's no price limit on comfortable. Well, I need to buy a new office chair, but now's not the time because I don't want people delivering stuff here right now. So it's unfortunate, but I'm trying to work things out. Edward says, just watch the new Black Christmas, might be worse than Cats. It's pretty awful. It is pretty awful. But here's the interesting thing. Invisible Man comes out just a couple months later. And Invisible Man and Black Christmas were both movies by Blumhouse. And they're both remakes of horror classics. And both of them kind of take now a Me Too twist. But whereas Black Christmas was awful, Invisible Man was excellent. So it's like here's Invisible Man doing what Black Christmas was trying to do, but doing it right. So that was kind of funny. I highly recommend Invisible Man. I wouldn't pay $20 to see it unless you got like a few. If there's like five of you in your house that's going to watch it, then it might be worth it. Because if you take the ticket price, what it would cost to see it in the movies, a bunch of you only paying $20, that works out. If you're watching it alone or there's like only two of you, yeah, it's probably not worth it. Backwind says today I watched two movies. The first one was Triple X, an action movie with Vin Diesel. I remember Triple X. It was pretty decent. The second one was Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. It was a lot better than Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. Well, here's what's interesting about Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. It actually stars Mickey Rooney. And Mickey Rooney was very vocal in 1984 when the first Silent Night, Deadly Night came out. He protested the film. He protested the first film and picketed it. And then he appeared in one of the sequels. So I guess Mickey really needed the money. Backquid says, if you're unfamiliar with Silent Night, Deadly Night, it was about Billy Chapman who became a killer Santa, and then he died and his brother took over as the villain in part two. Yes, yes. Garbage Day. Classics. Absolute classics. James says, say Krazy Joe, ever seen the Groovy Ghoulies? In my opinion, it's not good. It's nothing but knock-knock jokes throughout the show, but I respect your opinion. I have seen it. I've never loved it, but I think it's got a bit of a cheesy charm to it. There's a band called the Groovy Ghoulies, and they're pretty good. Punk band. Yeah, they're it's unrelated though. Like they're not related to the cartoon, but it's a good punk band with that name, which I recommend them. Joey says in season 3 of Daredevil, we actually find out that he was never blind. He was faking it the whole time. Well, do you know what Daredevil and Scarlet Witch have in common? Daredevil and Scarlet Witch are both Marvel Comics characters who dress in red and lost their vision. Yeah, there it is. So, Kyle says, my favorite Marvel movie is the original Spider Man from 2002. That's a good one. I do like the second one better, though. I think Spider Man 2 is the best Spider Man movie ever made, but that's just me. Lisa says, "Oh, poor old Mickey Rooney." From what I understand, Mickey Rooney was not a nice guy. Mickey Rooney was. There's stories about Mickey Rooney. I'm not going to tell them here because this is a family show, but Mickey Rooney is not the nicest guy from what I've heard. Eternal Harmony says, "Hey Joe, how are you?" I'm good, Eternal Harmony. How are you? Brandon says, "What do I think of the landscape of summer movies being pretty much decimated?" Yeah, it's pretty much the year. This is going to be like the forgotten year. You know, it's like we'll get through this, and life will go on eventually. But this is going to be the year with no footprint in a way, no cultural footprint in a way, because there's no movies. There's no everything that was supposed to come out is going to come out like in 2001. So we're going to look back and there's going to be like, I don't know. It's going to be a very strange year to look back on, I think. But what can you do? I mean, I hate all these movies being held back because I want to see them. But at the same time, I mean, what can they do? Like, well, like it would be so disappointing. It would be so disappointing if they released like Ghostbusters Afterlife direct to streaming. Because, I mean, some of us have waited years, 30 years. Ghostbusters 3 was over, Ghostbusters 2 was over 30 years ago. Some of us have waited over 30 years for a proper Ghostbusters sequel. And now we're finally getting one. And we've waited like 30 years for it. How much would it suck if we had to watch it on TV? Like, if that was the only venue open to us. So it's like it sucks, but it is what it is. It's like I want to see these things, but I'd be so disappointed if I had to just watch them on TV. Like I want them on the big screen. So it is what it is. Hopefully, like but then again, I was gonna say hopefully the streaming services like Netflix or something pick up the ball to give us some good entertainment. But they've shut down all Hollywood, so they're not shooting anything new anyway. So it's not like if they don't have something in the pipeline, they don't have something in the pipeline. That's all there is to it. Uh, James says my favorite Marvel movie is Deadpool. It's a good one. Backwoods says best Marvel MCU movie for him is either Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Infinity War, or Endgame. I got to go with Endgame. And for if we're looking for like a solo hero, like not a team up movie, Winter Soldier. I mean, yeah, technically that is a team up movie because Black Widow's in it. But like I'm talking like a whole team of heroes. I'd have to say Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and the original Thor are two of my favorites. And I think every Iron Man movie was better than the one before it. Like Iron Man was good, but Iron Man 2 was even better, and Iron Man 3 was like the best Iron Man. Um, I'm always surprised when people say they like the first one the best. I got so many problems with the first one because the first one, number one, it's got originitis. You got all those scenes in the cave where we're learning how he became Iron Man. That's necessary. You got to get through that, but it's a slog. So the sequels automatically that's out of the way. We got the origin done with. Now we can just move on. But also the fight with the villain in the original Iron Man was like so quick. It was like really quick paced. It was like boom, 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 done. It was like there was nothing to it. So I don't know. I thought the Iron Man movies just kept getting better and better. I really wish they'd let Shane Black do another MCU movie because Shane Black is really good. Brandon says, "What do I think of the land?" Oh, I've already been there. Sorry. Where was I? I'm losing track. Gary says, "I think it's funny how Hollywood killed the middle market for movies about 10 years ago, and now they're wishing they didn't with this beer bug going around. Now a movie can only get made if it's made for 20 million or less. No in between." That's somewhat accurate. James says, "Say Joe, ever seen the movie from 2017 called Wonder? It's a great movie." I never did. Is that about a deformed kid or something? I vaguely remember that. The beer bug needs to be the new name for the virus since YouTube has been demonetizing people for saying the virus name. Is that true? I've heard that. But right now everybody's saying the virus name, so I don't know if they're doing that anymore. I don't know. Let's just call it the plague. The plague. Oh, I get it. Beer virus. Aha. I get it. Aha. I am hip. I understand. Anyway. Backwood says, still waiting for Kong versus Godzilla. I was shocked when I heard Mickey Rooney was not a nice guy. What's next? Are you going to tell me that Bill Cosby was not a good guy to have drinks with? I understand he was a pain in the ass to have drinks with. Eternal Harmony asks, am I a Mickey Rourke fan? He's my favorite actor. Well, he's pretty good. I wouldn't say I love him, but he does some fine work. The Wrestler is certainly a terrific movie. James says, "Say Crazy Joe, ever had an Atari 2600 as a kid? I had an Atari Flashback, which is basically a collection of 2600 games. I have an Atari 2600 Flashback right over there on the TV. Yeah, but no, I did not have one as a kid. My dad wouldn't buy me one. He bought me a Texas Instruments computer instead, which played video games. And for being honest, the video game, the graphics and everything, it was better than the 2600. But I was still bummed out because my friends had Ataris, and I wanted an Atari because that's what my friends had. And you could trade cartridges and stuff. So technically, I had something that was like a little bit better, but you lost out on the social aspect of like trading games with friends and things. So I was disappointed. Years later, like high school, I bought a 2600 at like a flea market or something. Back then they were dirt cheap. There was no aftermarket back then. Now, like, these old video game systems on eBay, you'll pay a decent amount. But back then, like in the 90s, nobody cared. It was like, yeah, this archaic thing, yeah, there you go, $4.99 at garage sale. I don't know, but I had one. It didn't last very long though. It just and also it was hard to get games because there was like eBay wasn't really a thing like back then. So if you didn't find someone at a flea market selling their old Atari cartridges, you didn't have games for it. Cal says, I like Spider Man. I've never seen Spider Man 2. Spider Man 3, I've never liked. Spider Man 3 is problematic, but at least it's better than Amazing Spider Man 2. It's got that going for it. Joey says they need to just release it all on streaming and take the L and make. No, that's just. Because then we got to watch them streaming. Like, then we got to watch this crap streaming. Like, that would just suck. I'd rather wait, see it on the big screen. Like, how disappointing if we didn't get to see like Ghostbusters on the big screen, like or Wonder Woman. That would be heartbreaking. No, 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 no. And also, it doesn't make business sense. They would take such a loss on that. It would be a terrible thing. James says, "Say Crazy Joe ever seen Ovoid in the Gang? It's a good show from the late '80s that reminds me of Kikoriki. I'm not familiar with either of those shows. What are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Are you getting up? Why are you getting up? Just sit down. Relax. Where are you going? Where are you going? Come here. I don't know what he's doing. Boredom Strikes is here. He says, I thought the first Iron Man was the best one, though I do think Iron Man 2 is underrated. Iron Man 3, I think, is one of the least of the MCU movies. See, I think it's one of the best. That twist, man. I don't want to ruin it in case anyone hasn't seen it. But that twist, I remember that came out the same summer as Star Trek Into Darkness. And both movies had a twist. And one of them, Star Trek, everybody saw the twist coming. Everybody knew. It was no surprise. But then Iron Man 3, everybody was floored. Everyone was like, holy crap, I didn't see that coming. I thought that was just a brilliant movie. Are you comfortable now? Are you comfortable? He's trying to get comfortable. Anyway. Brandon says, so with a lack of things in the pipeline, do you think we'll see larger studios snatching up smaller films too to fill the potential theatrical void, or maybe see re-releases of older films? I don't know, but when the theaters open, they're going to need something to play. It's going to be really weird because everyone's pulled their releases. So what are they going to be playing? Like, if we find out like June 1st or I don't know, mid-May, the theaters are opening, what's going to be playing? All the movies have been pulled. It's going to be really weird. They're gonna have to put something in theaters. And I keep saying, whatever the first movie to open is, whatever the first movie you open in a theater is, it's going to make so much money because everyone's going to just want to get out of the house. Gary says Iron Man 3 should have been Iron Man 2. Forcing Tony to deal with his humanity should have taken care of the middle of the Iron Man trilogy, not the end. Was it really a trilogy, though? I don't really feel Iron Man was a trilogy. There's this stupid thing where they put out 3 movies. They just put out 3 movies and they're like, yeah, trilogy. It's not really a trilogy, though. You just make 2 sequels to a thing and you call it a trilogy. Like Back to the Future was a trilogy. Star Wars was a trilogy. Like the stories were interconnected. It was telling one larger story. But you can't just pick out 3 random James Bond movies and say that's the James Bond trilogy. You know what I mean? It's like there's this thing where they're like, oh, we're going to do trilogies, but they're not really trilogies. They're just like, oh, well, we put out 3 movies and we call it a trilogy. It's like, no, it's not. It's not really you're just making sequels and stopping at 3. That's all you're doing. Like you could have made, because Iron Man's not really a trilogy because before Iron Man 3, we saw him in Avengers. And after Iron Man 3, we saw him in Avengers 2 and Civil War and Avengers 4 and Spider Man. So it's like, I mean, his story continued. Uh, his story didn't even end at Iron Man 3, it ended at Avengers Endgame. So it wasn't really a trilogy. They got this idea in their head that trilogies are the way to go, man. You know, they do 3 movies. We're gonna do Christopher Nolan's doing his Batman trilogy, and we're gonna have so and so do the such and such trilogy. And it's like, how about part 4? Why don't you just do part 4? Because it's not really a trilogy. Like Thor is the first Marvel movie getting a well, there's Avengers, but Thor is the first like solo hero getting a part 4. Why? Why couldn't we have had an Iron Man 4? Look, we wouldn't have paid to see it. Of course we would have. I don't know. It's so stupid. Like, and when I think a lot of times trilogies are small minded. Like it's like they can't think bigger. It's like think bigger, man. Think bigger, because these characters are based on comic books, and the comic books often have thousands upon thousands of issues. Like take like Batman, Detective Comics. Um, aren't they past 1,000? Isn't like Detective Comics 1,000 came out like last year or something? So there's over 1,000 issues of Detective Comics, and then you got Batman, and then you've got Batman and Robin, and All Star Batman, and Legends of the Dark Knight, and Shadow of the Bat, and all these other Batman titles aside from Detective Comics. So there's just thousands and thousands of stories, and then a filmmaker comes out and's like, "Going to do my Batman trilogy." It's like, why are you stopping at 3? Like, why is it that your mind can only hit the number 3 and not go further? You can make Batman 10 and not have scratched the surface of stories that can be told about Batman. You can make Batman 20 and not have scratched the surface, because that's what they've been doing it for years in the comics. I don't know. I've never understood the thing of like, oh, we got to do a trilogy. Let's see, where was I? Kyle says, I'll tell you what, I did not like the remake of it. What are we talking about? What did you not like the remake of, Kyle? I'm sorry, I'm missing something here. Boredom Strike says it back. Oh, that's a side conversation. I'm sorry. David Rembert is here. Welcome, David. Are you planning on buying Rad on 4K? Oh, I've already pre-ordered it. I have already pre-ordered it. And I think my thank you goes out to Martinez Joe. I believe it was Martinez Joe who posted that on Instagram. I could be mistaken, or maybe it was Brandon. I don't know. Someone posted it on Instagram, and whoever it was, I want to say Martinez Joe, could have been Brandon. I thank whoever it was because I placed the order then. Anyway, yes. Jesse says I remember that. Wow, haven't thought about that one since I was a little kid. I don't know what we're talking about. Let's see. Backway says, personally, I hated the Suicide Squad because of story problems and the characters. But if one good thing came of it, it was Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. You see, I thought Suicide Squad was fine. It's not my least favorite movie in the DC cinematic universe. That would be Man of Steel. Man of Steel is my absolute least favorite. But it's one of the weaker ones. But then, yeah, we got the Harley Quinn spinoff, which is amazing. So that's and the second Suicide Squad. It's got James Gunn, so we know that's going to be good. The problem with Suicide Squad is, why did they send in a girl with a baseball bat and a guy with a boomerang and a guy who could shoot guns to take down a supernatural villain? Good question. Good question. Joey says, just release the movies on streaming, then release them in theaters when they reopen. But then everyone's seen them. That's not going to, I don't see how that's going to work. Boredom Strike says, I love the movie theater experience. There's a place for streaming, but it should never replace the movie going experience. I'd rather wait than see these movies thrown on streaming. I couldn't agree more, Boredom Strikes. I think there's some movies that could go to streaming, like the Mulan remake. I say, you know what? Put the Mulan remake on streaming. Because Disney has a full plate. They got so much. They got so much coming out. And they're holding back New Mutants. And they're holding back Black Widow. So now all these Disney movies are going to be fighting for a release date because the calendar is going to get crowded. So I think if you hold everything back, you're going to find that there's no open release dates. So I'd say, well, which one would make most sense to release to streaming? I say, put Mulan on streaming. It'll be something extra for Disney Plus. They have a lack of original content on there right now since The Mandalorian ended. So I could see an argument being made for Mulan. But and that's the thing. Some of the smaller movies will probably have to go elsewhere. Like that Kumail Nanjiani movie that looked like crap. Lovebirds. That's going direct to Netflix because when all these high profile movies are competing for release dates, a movie like Lovebirds isn't going to stand a chance. It's going to get butchered against the competition. So that makes sense. Put that on streaming. But the bigger ones should definitely wait to go to the movies. But yeah, I agree with you completely. Boredom strikes. I'm way behind on the text here. Let me see. Where were we going? Joey's going on again about how they should put them on streaming. Yeah, Joey, that's a terrible idea. I mean, it's just a. I think it's a horrible idea. All right. Okay. I've scrolled through a little to try to catch up. James says, "Say Crazy Joe, I recommend keeping an eye out for Solar Opposites, The Midnight Gospel, and Close Enough. I will keep an eye out." And Marie says it was Joe who alerted me to Brad. That is. Boredom Strike says, "I definitely agree with the issues with Suicide Squad, but it wasn't designed to be anything other than a chuck your brain at the door entertainment. Yeah, and I think for that it was fun. Awesome. Joe was super excited for Rad. Needs to get rid of his bootleg copy. I'm excited. That's one of the three movies to feature the song "Send Me an Angel" by Real Life, and now two of them are on Blu-ray. So we need a Blu-ray of Teen Wolf 2 now. Teen Wolf 2 has to come to Blu-ray now. James says, "Hey, Crazy Joe, did you know that Star Wars has two cartoons in the '80s called Droids and Ewoks?" Yes, I used to watch them back in '85, maybe late '84, '85. It was. I used to watch those shows. Backwind says another movie I recently watched was Meet the Feebles. Best way to describe it was like watching the Muppet Show, taking acid. So screwed up a funny. Yeah, that was a Peter Jackson movie. That was an early Peter Jackson movie. I enjoyed that. Definitely enjoyed that. Joey says I will absolutely never watch any movie that they refuse to release on streaming during a worldwide pandemic. Okay, don't see him then, Joey. I don't know what to tell you, man. I would be devastated if I had to watch a Wonder Woman on my TV. Like that would suck. Like watching Wonder Woman 84, my most anticipated film for the year on that TV there would just like I mean, we're losing so many of the little pleasures. Don't take seeing some of these movies I've anticipated for so long away from me. I mean, Ghostbusters 3, we waited 30 years. Over 30 years. It's been 31 years now for a proper Ghostbusters sequel. We're finally getting it. Don't you dare put that thing on Netflix. Like, you do, man. I will, man. I'm just gonna lose it. I'm just gonna lose it. If I have to watch Ghostbusters 3 on Netflix, I will go nuts. Anyway, Backwood says it's on YouTube and Tubi TV. For me, it's awesome but completely bonkers. Oh, Meet the Feebles is on Tubi TV. Tubi TV, man, has so much good stuff. There is so much good stuff on Tubi TV. You know, you could take everything away, the TV, all the streaming services, and just leave me with Tubi TV, and I'd have enough television to watch for weeks. Like, there's just so much on there. It's crazy. And it's all free. It's all free. Jesse Jesse says Teen Wolf 2 does have a Blu-ray now. Wow, that one slipped by me. I didn't know that. I got to wow. I had no idea Teen Wolf 2 had a Blu-ray. I'm shocked. James says, "Hey, Crazy Joe, I totally recommend Hey Arnold. It's one of my favorite Nicktoons and a slice of life series that focuses on deep themes." Brandon says, Teen Wolf 2 is it a 2-pack with Teen Wolf on Blu-ray? All right. I didn't know. Backward says, "I'm hoping Scream Factory will make a collector's edition Blu-ray of Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, and Dead Alive." Dead Alive is so overdue for a Blu-ray. It really is. By the way, just a reminder, Super Chat Hippo is joining us tonight. He's here. He is here. How you doing? They're making a Netflix documentary series about me. It's called The Hippo King. The Hippo King. They'll talk about the time I was in a video game with Mike Tyson fighting Little Mac. He can only hit me when I went, "Rah, rah." It's the only time he can hit me. Some of you got that. Some of you youngins got that joke. Look at this. I'm touching my face. Not supposed to do that because of the beer virus. But sometimes the eye gets itchy. What are you going to do? But my hands are clean. I've washed them like 20 times today, and I haven't been out of the house in like a week. So Gary says, after the Fast and Furious releases, the 10th and final in the series, will Vin Diesel revisit Riddick? I've heard he is. I've heard like that he's trying to get another Riddick off the ground. And he's also supposed to do a Triple X4, from what I understand. Jesse says Teen Wolf 2 was released by Shout Factory. All right. Interesting. Marie says Bambi live action. Has anyone heard anything about that happening? Haven't heard anything since the initial announcement. Gary says, someone let that Super Chat Hippo sing. Eternal Harmony says, did you see the articles talked about how Bob Iger was the reason there's no more Muppets on Disney Plus? I have read that. And it's truly disappointing. I mean, I don't know, like, how much of a personal dislike towards the Muppets do you have to keep them off Disney Plus? Because even if Bob Iger isn't a fan, he's got to recognize that people want to watch the Muppet Show. The Muppet Show is a classic. It's a TV classic. You got, I mean, just from a business perspective, you got to recognize there's a demand for this show. People want to see it. So how would taking something you already own, you already have, and putting it on the streaming service, how's that going to hurt you? Like, I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. And hopefully whoever takes over, but it's a Bob Chapek or whatever. But see, here's the thing, Bob Iger's still in charge of Disney Plus. So I don't know, whenever Bob Iger steps down completely and someone else takes over Disney Plus, I hope they love the Muppets. That's all I gotta say. Joey says, if you wash your hands and your hands are clean, you can touch your face all you want. James says, Crazy Joe, ever see the Flintstones special? I yabba dabba do. I did. I saw that when it first aired. It's the one where Pebbles and Bam Bam got married. Joey Baseball is giving Marie nightmares. What did you say to Marie? Gary says, a question. You may know the answer. Joe, do you think Fraggle Rock will be on HBO Max since that was their first original show on the network? Well, it's possible. But here's the thing. HBO does not own Fraggle Rock. It was their first show, but they don't own it. It's owned by the Henson Company. So the Henson Company owns Fraggle Rock. Obviously, the Henson Company does not have their own streaming service. So I could see HBO striking some kind of deal with them to get it up there. It's entirely possible. But I believe HBO or Max is primarily going to be Warner Brothers content because it's the Warner Brothers streaming service. A lot of people are freaking out because Babylon 5 was taken off of Amazon Prime. Well, I'm convinced that's just because it's going to HBO Max. Lisa says, why is Bob Iger the reason? He doesn't like the Muppets or something? Well, Lisa, this article went on about how it was Michael Eisner who bought the Muppets. Michael Eisner did it. And then Bob Iger took over and he kind of had his own agenda. And the Muppets weren't something he brought in himself. So he didn't really care. This is what the article says. I don't know how true this is. But the article says basically that Bob Iger just didn't care about the Muppets because it wasn't his acquisition. And then he went and he got Disney and Pixar and or not Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars. So those are his babies. Those are the ones he cares about. Whereas the Muppets he doesn't care about because that wasn't something he brought in. And apparently, supposedly, he never saw the value in it. He didn't think it was a good acquisition for Disney. That's what this article claims. I don't know if it's true, but I do know that Disney does tend to give the Muppets the shaft, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they're iconic characters. You would think a company like Disney would know how to market them, but they don't seem to want to. I don't know. Like, take Muppets Most Wanted. Muppets Most Wanted was an amazingly good movie. It was like so good. It was probably better than the 2011 movie. It was funny. It had guest stars. It had great music. It had literally everything going for it. When did they release it? They released it in the March dead time of year, March, against uh, a movie based on a young adult novel. The name escapes me. The name escapes. I want to say Maze Runner or something, or I don't know. But it was something that had like a huge fan base with young teenagers. So of course they were all hyped about that movie, and they went and saw that. And Muppet Most Wanted didn't get an audience, and to this day it's considered a failure. Well, it did fail at the box office, but well, look where you opened it. You opened the 2011 film in the November holiday season. It got that holiday traffic. You opened Most Wanted in a dead zone against a movie that actually had some heat with teenagers. So it got decimated because everybody went to see that movie. It's unfortunate. They've mishandled it. Lisa says because Bob Iger never met Jim or probably learned about him, then he'd care. Hey, you're probably right. Backwood says, "What is the absolute horror film you watched? The worst horror film? The remake of Nightmare on Elm Street or Jason Takes Manhattan. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake was pretty terrible, but it had a good performance by Haley Joel Osment. Jeez, Jackie Earl Haley. They both got Haley in their name. Haley. Can you imagine Haley Joel Osment as Freddy Krueger? That would be awful. But no, Jackie Earl Haley was a great Freddy. So you at least get a good performance for Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street. So it had that going for it. So I can't call it the worst. Jason Takes Manhattan, I genuinely enjoy that film. I would say it's probably something like Hereditary or The Witch. They might be the worst I've ever seen. I really hated them. There were also some terrible movies back in the late 90s, early 2000s, like Bless the Child. Remember that one? Oh, that was awful. Bless the Child. Ooh, those were some terrible ones. I also hated The Grudge. I really hated The Grudge. I didn't like, oh, the one where the woman combing her hair. What was the one? The Ring. Oh, I thought The Ring was garbage too. I didn't care for that either. Let's see. Henry S. Or Gary says, Forever Jason Takes Manhattan was really good. Technically, it's bad, but that movie is so bad it's good. Oh yeah, I still remember seeing it in the theater. It was so much fun. There was like the audience was keeping a running count every time for Jason killed someone. It would be like that's one, that's two. It was like I've never seen an audience like that before. Like where they were so into it. It was like there was a running countdown of how many deaths. It was hilarious. What was the name of that brand new theater you and CS can't go to? Water Tower Cinema? Water Tower Cinema is actually one of my sponsors. They're wonderful. I love Water Tower Cinema, and I will be going there again someday. Right now they're closed. It's unfortunate, but Water Tower Cinema had bad luck. They were it was just about to get to the busy time. Like they're a new theater. They're trying to get their momentum going, and their momentum was just about to start because the big releases were coming out, and then they got derailed by this whole thing. I mean, everybody did, but it's a shame. I hope they can. I hope that things do really well at the box office going forward. Eternal Harmony says, I love Muppets Most Wanted, and my nephew really enjoyed the new Muppet Babies. Disney's crazy for not using the Muppets more. I agree. I can't get enough Muppets. And speaking of the new Muppet Babies, Summer Penguin, man, they got to introduce an adult Summer Penguin, uh, an adult puppet version of Summer Penguin in the next movie. Hey, man, look, you're right on the couch with me. Why don't you come? Why don't you come be on the live stream? Why don't you come over here, man? Come on, come here, come here, come on over, come on over. Yeah, yeah, come on over. Here you go. Look, look. Hey, look, you're on the live stream. You're on the live stream, right there. Look in the camera. Look in the. No, you're not gonna look in the camera. Anyway, all right. Backwood says I thought Hereditary and The Witch were good. The Ring was okay. Unfortunately I can't agree with that. Backwood says don't get me wrong. I love Jason X, but it's so bad it's good. Uber, yeah. Well, let's face it. None of the Friday the 13th movies are great movies. They're entertaining. I like them. I got the Blu-rays, but they're entertaining. I like them. James says, "Hey, Crazy Joe, ever seen the Marvel Superheroes '60s show?" Yes. It's been a while though. They should get that up on Disney Plus. Gary says, "What I hate is the sequels that don't use numbers in the titles and replace it with the word the." Perfect example. The fourth Final Destination movie was or Final Destination was called The Final. I hate the thing. I hate the thing. The thing is so stupid. And now they're doing it with Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. No, don't call it that's stupid. I get they don't want to call it Suicide Squad 2 because they don't want to really Warner Brothers is really trying to have their cake and eat it too with Suicide Squad. Because Suicide Squad was a big hit for them. So they definitely want a sequel because the first one was a big hit. But critics hated the first one. So they want to make a sequel, but they also want to be able to say, well, it's not really a sequel to that one. This is like its own thing. So like they're trying so hard to have it both ways on that movie. Rick is here. Rick is here. Welcome, Rick. Good to see you. Yeah, Rick, we gotta do something, man. We gotta do something. Uh, I've been trying to do these, little video chats to kind of fill the time while we're quarantined. I'd like to do one with Rick. I'd like to do one with Cinema Sickness, but we haven't gotten around to it yet. We got to do it. Let's see. Marie says, "Hey, Oreo, hope you're well. I was thinking about you." Oh, thanks, Marie. Yeah, no, he's well. He's been better. He's been better. Oreo. Can I show them? Can I show them, Oreo? Come here. Let me show you. Poor Oreo here, man. I tell you, he's not. He's really not doing well. Here, see now he's being camera shy. Oreo, look, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. He's got this big growth. I don't know if it's showing on camera, but he's got this big growth right here. It's like the size of like, oh, am I getting kisses? Thank you, Oreo. It's like the size of like a small ball right here. And the doctor can't tell what's in there. We had to take him to the vet. I mean, there could possibly be a tumor in there, but they can't see it. So we're just observing him right now. This poor dog. This poor dog. The sad truth is, I love this dog. He's my baby. I've raised him since he was a puppy. But I mean, I got to be honest. He's got more days behind him than ahead of him, and I just don't know how much longer we're going to have him. But I'm going to be heartbroken the day he's not with us anymore. I'll tell you that. I am going to be downright heartbroken because I love this little guy. He's my first baby. He's my first baby. But hoping for the best. Hoping for the best. Joey says I should have a trivia contest with Rick. If he wants to join us on trivia, he's more than welcome. James says, "Hey, Crazy Joe, ever seen Daffy Duck Quackbusters? It's a decent movie. Yeah, it's a good one. It's definitely a good one. Uh, Rick's saying what kind of trivia? I've been doing occasional trivia live streams on Instagram where movie trivia, and I get I bring people on live on Instagram, and we ask them trivia questions. We've had two contestants so far. We've had Dave Perillo did one, and Punk Nerd. Punk Nerd did one. Let's see. Marie's got one that's 14 plus. Yeah, it's a shame. I wish I could magically turn him back into a puppy. Brandon says pre 2000 movie trivia. Yes, if anyone can recommend a good movie trivia game that's going to give me good movie trivia questions that are more up to date, let me know. I will place the order, I will buy it. But yeah, the game I have now was made in 1998. So there's not a single question on there from the past 20 years. So you've got to know your movie trivia sans the past 20 years to do well in that game. But if anyone could recommend a good movie trivia game that's got up to date questions, then we'll do this. All right, Joe wants to do this. All right, we'll do it, Joe. You will be a contestant. Yeah, Brandon says know your hurricane. You have three questions had the hurricane as one of their options. I said, does anyone who remembers the hurricane? I mean, that's a movie. Nobody talks about the hurricane anymore. Nobody talks, but that must have been like that was a pretty new movie, I guess, when that game was made. So James says, ever been to Planet Hollywood? I've been to the one in New York City, and I've been to the one in Orlando, and the one that doesn't exist anymore that used to be in Atlantic City. In fact, I don't know if the one in New York, in Times Square, does that still exist? That may have gone under, for all I know. I Want My Slaw says I can do Nickelodeon trivia. Unfortunately, I don't have a Nickelodeon trivia game. Here's what I got. I got 80s trivia, Star Trek trivia, and two dated movie trivia games. I also have Trivial Pursuit Silver Screen Edition, but that's even older than the one we were using the other day. So that is like up to 1984. Excuse me. Woo! I Want My Slaw says I went to the Planet Hollywood in New York City in the year 2002. I could still taste the hamburger. It was delicious. Yeah, I think I was last there in like '07. So I don't know if it's still there. Jesse says Norman Jewison directed The Hurricane based on the true story of Reuben the Hurricane Carter. I'm aware of that. But I never hear anyone talk about that movie. Yeah, does does anyone talk about that movie anymore though? Like it's one of those movies. There's certain movies that come out and they're well received and people watch them and they go, "Hey, that was really good. I really like that." But then you just don't hear them mentioned anymore. That just seems like one of those movies to me. Joey Baseball says, "Who's your favorite Fifth Harmony member?" I have no idea what Fifth Harmony is. Martinez Joe says, "I could do '80s trivia since I'm older than you, Joe." Let's do it then. Let's do it. One thing though is the live trivia concept. I blatantly ripped that off of another Instagram page I admit it. Like, like I don't want to be putting it out there like I came up with this. No, no. Someone else came up with it. And it's a page called 80s Then, 80s Now. So his whole thing was 80s trivia. He would do it as 80s trivia. So since I'm already ripping him off a little, I always feel guilty doing the 80s questions because then I'm fully ripping him off. Like I mean that's his thing, is 80s trivia. So like I always feel like, well, if I'm gonna rip him off, I probably shouldn't do 80s trivia because that's totally his wheelhouse. But uh Rick says, tomorrow I will have officially seen all 11 Star Wars movies. Well, I would argue that the one you have left to see is probably the worst movie since the prequels, but you'll probably like think it's the best or something. I don't know. Joey says, your live stream isn't showing up in my subscriptions. People aren't getting alerts to it either. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I don't know I don't know if it's anything on my part or if it's just YouTube crapping out, but people, are saying they're not getting the notifications. Backwood says, congratulations, Rick. That's one heck of an accomplishment. Martinez Joe says, I used to watch his 80s trivia on Instagram. Yeah, so it's the same thing, just shamefully ripped off. Joey Baseball says, Rick, that's amazing. It took Crazy Joe 40 years to do that. That's accurate. That is accurate. Let's see. Backwind says, same here, Joey. I had to go to the channel just to get notified. Jesse got the notification for this stream. Rick says, did you hear what happened on my live stream this morning? I watched your second live stream that said your first live stream was taken down for a rule violation. Did you mention the beer virus? Mentioning the beer virus apparently it's not good. All right, guys, I am going to wrap it up. We are now past 10 o'clock, which means I have to go record a podcast now. At least I hope we're recording a podcast because I haven't texted J2H today. But I hope we're doing it because we're supposed to. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. And here's Gary with the stream ending joke, which we have missed for the last couple streams. Why do doctors make the best Jedi? Because a Jedi must have patience. Very good. Very good. All right, guys, thank you. I appreciate you all being here. This was kind of I don't know, something was off this live stream. Maybe it's the change of location. It didn't feel, I don't know, my flow felt like, I don't feel like I something felt off. Maybe I got to go to the bar. Maybe this has to be done at the bar to work properly. I don't know. But maybe there's interesting things I want to do. I want to try the live stream. I want to try new things, and maybe now's the time to experiment since we're all stuck in the house. But we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and I appreciate it. Super Chat Hippo appreciates it, and Oreo appreciates it. And until next Tuesday, keep wearing those pajamas and check out the all new Mega Podtastic podcast. We've been dropping a new episode every Friday. And this week we have a celebrity guest. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll tell you, she's a Muppet performer. Okay, I'll tell you who it is. It's Leslie Carrera Rudolph, the puppeteer who performs Abby Cadabby. Joins us on the next podcast. So be sure and check that out this Friday. Thanks. Keep wearing those pajamas.